Hello everybody. The topic for today's talk show on Swami Vivekananda Business Talk series is behavioral finance. And for this particular discussion, I am really happy to get a professor like Dr. Ravi Kumar Mukherjee, whom I admire and respect. He is a young academician and he is having a very vast knowledge as well as comprehensive. So let us have a basic discussion on the basic term behavioral finance. Today we can have a very generic discussion to understand what the thing is.
Exactly.
So my first question to you, what is behavioral finance?
So sir, to answer that, I will take you back one step.
Okay.
That for finance specialization program of any business management master's program, we need to study a part which is called the investment management,
right,
which course is called as SAPM, that is security analysis as portfolio management by different institutes. Some institute call it investment management.
Right.
So over there, what is the basic objective of delivering that course? That how should investment be made by the financial agents? By them I mean, be it the retail individual investor, or be it the managers, the corporate managers, or be it the portfolio managers of the provident funds, of the mutual funds, of other funds. So over there, what we teach them, that how risk is to be measured, how return is to be measured, and after that, how portfolio is to be created.
How the securities are valued.
Securities are valued, and then after all, how the portfolios are created.
Yes.
And as a result, since the 1960s, we have the traditional theories.
Yes.
The Markowitz theory, model portfolio theory, which teaches how scientifically a portfolio can be created.
Right.
Then thereafter, Eugene Fama came out with the efficient market theory,
Yes,
which says how the markets behave. Now these are all technically called the standard theories because they are based on certain simplistic assumptions,
right,
which stated that if you presume that your investors or market participants are all rational, and they also presume that the market is efficient. As a result, this is how the investment should be made.
Yes.
So they were normative,
correct,
or rather prescriptive, I would say. But actually what happens once these theories were accepted by mainstream finance experts, when research actually took place in the late 70s and early 80s, it was found primarily in the developed nations, and later on when studies took place, research studies took place in the developing nations, that whatever those theories suggested, that is not the ground reality. In the practical financial markets, we are seeing recessions, we are seeing asset bubbles, say the tech bubble, the dot-com bubble which happened. We are seeing in 2007, 8, 9, the later half of the first decade of the current millennium, we have come across the subprime crisis.
right.
Now, if every investor, every market participant is rational, then such situations of sudden boom or sudden crash should not have happened. So this is where one group of researchers, they started thinking that why are these happening? So there must be some gaps which is existing, which the existing theories cannot explain.
Correct.
The end result of their thought process is what we today call behavioral finance.
Okay,
So this
great.
particular branch of finance basically addresses that part which standard finance is failing to address.
Okay.
So that is where behavioral finance is starting.
Okay. So behavioral finance basically embracing the financial instruments or the investor psychology.
It is not with the instruments.
It is not.
It is not with the instruments. It is basically, as you said the right word, sir, psychology.
Yes.
So behavioral finance is basically a cross-disciplinary or a multidisciplinary subject.
Okay.
Here, basically what it is the application of psychology in financial decision making. It basically answers the research question that how psychology and its allied streams like emotions, like social phenomena, how these things affect financial decision making of any market participant. Again, I am repeating, be it the individual investor or be it the market as a whole. And within that, even the financial planners, financial advisors, we all are human beings. So we are getting affected by the behavior of self, by the behavior of the peers, the behavior of the macro environment as a whole. And this is what behavioral finance tries to address, that if we are aware of these things, then that will help us in better decision making. So basically the objective of this course will be how to take smarter decisions, especially financial decisions.
Okay. Regarding the scope of this particular topic, one is investment. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Other than investment also,
Yeah.
behind every transaction, there is a decision.
Exactly.
Okay. So, Mr. X, he is earning some amount of money. Okay. Some people may be very prone in eating out. Some people feeling it wastage of money. Some people are very prone in availing very costly resorts while going for any outing. Some people are feeling it, he is very extravagant or he is wasting his money. So here also some financial decision comes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I will be going to Delhi. I may avail flight or I may avail train, and the tariff also matters for me. So there is also a question of decision.
Decision making.
Whether these sort of decisions are also coming within the purview of behavioral finance, or it is only about savings and investment.
It is, because everywhere day-to-day decisions, as you said, with respect to eating out, with respect to vacationing, with respect to investment in good dresses, or things of our passion, like a good wristwatch, whatever.
Is that, suppose 5 young chap has got a job and they are getting a very happy salary. But the average propensity to consume of these 5 people are quite different, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So their habit of spending, whether it is also coming under the domain of behavioral finance, or it is only the
This
savings.
is not exactly the habit of spending, but there are 2 branches of behavioral finance. One is called behavioral finance macro,
Okay.
and the other one is behavioral finance micro.
Okay.
So similar to economics, the macro addresses the sentiment or the psychology behind the decision making of the market as a whole, and behavioral finance
Market means financial market or entire economy?
financial markets.
Financial
markets, and I will come again, as you said, that what is the scope of this? I would say its scope is not only restricted to investment, and by investment we do not mean, say, Mr. X investing in the stock market or investing in the mutual fund. That is definitely coming within it. Here investment is also, say for example, what a big businessman, when he is deciding to diversify his business portfolio. Say for example, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, he is himself a professional actor, but he has made investments in a sports club.
Right.
So that decision which he is making, that is also an investment decision. Okay? Say for example, the film production houses, when they are deciding which kind of a film to make, which kind of a OTT series to make, they are diversifying. Sometimes they are making children movies, sometimes they are making series, serious series. Sometimes they're making horror movies. Now, this is also a portfolio. So behind all these, how the decisions are made? Something is risky, something is not risky. So how do you commit for decisions? It has been observed till now, the theories which are called standard finance, they presume that you, me, and every other person behaves in a rational way. And what is rational? Let me just spell a few words about that. By rational, we mean that you get access to all information,
Right.
you process all information, and you have the capacity to process all information.
Correct.
But is it true
Which is
for
very
everyone?
remote thing.
No, because the information which you may get will be different from what I get.
Yes.
Your capacity of addressing or
Addressing
processing
another.
that information will be different from mine. Even if our capacity is the same, your intention and my intention will be different. So this actually created a very stereotype plastic theories which said that ये होने से ये होता है, but in reality that does not happen. Because why? Because you and me and every other person in the society, we are not rational. What are we? We are normal people. At times we behave rationally. At times we behave in a way which cannot be called rational. It is not irrational.
Randomly,
It is not irrational. It cannot be called rational. It can be emotional.
Yes.
So as a result, and what the studies have shown, that you're at behavioral finance macro level, your behavior with respect to, say, spending, with respect to savings, with respect to investment, shows a particular pattern.
Right.
My decisions show a particular pattern which is different from your pattern.
Correct.
So because, and this leads to something which is called biases, which happens to be one of the cornerstones of the discipline of behavioral finance.
Okay, great. You have addressed the exact term which which makes me thinking about this particular topic. The term bias. Whenever there is a lecture in YouTube video or there is a textbook, the term bias is there. So sometimes people are thinking that by the normal meaning of the term bias, which is something not normal or which is something having a tilt to some particular phenomena,
Exactly.
which is not completely balanced, then we are calling it as bias.
Exactly.
But here in this particular subject, what is the exact interpretation of the term bias?
Okay, so before giving you the exact definition, what I would like to tell you is why bias is studied in behavioral finance. Why do we make students study this? Basically, we want to make the participants of this course aware of the fact that you, me, every one of us in this world are prone to committing biases.
Will you call it bias or you will call it every human being are unique in their thinking?
And because they are unique, and there will be somebody like you in this world, and every one of us have certain biased thinking, and that is systematic. Because your thinking may be biased towards a particular thing. Just to give you an example, there is a kind of bias called recency bias. Just giving you an example. What is recency bias? It is you have a habit of always coming out or taking your decision based on your recent happenings.
Okay.
Say today morning you came across a news about XYZ company, and when you were investing, that XYZ company's news comes to your mind first, and as a result you take decisions.
Okay.
Either to accept or to reject, either to say good or bad about it. So then it will be said that you are subject to recency bias. So and this pattern is found to be repetitive in you. So this type of course, what it does, it makes the people aware of all the possible, not all, there are more than 150 biases identified by researchers, but the common 20-30 biases. It makes the participants aware of the biases, important biases, so that you can think yourself. First, recognize that you are prone to committing these biases, a particular one or two biases. Become aware of the fact, and then you design your thought accordingly so that you can overcome these biases. So that it is better to have the knowledge and overcome it so that you don't commit the mistake of repeating these biases in the future. Okay. That is why it helps.
Again, I'm just interrupting you, sorry.
Yeah.
Again, I'm coming to the basic interpretation of the term bias. When we will be calling someone as bias who is deviated from standard. That means this man is perfect and this man is biased. So whenever I am calling XYZ is biased to some person or something, that means he has got deviated from some standard. Okay, then only we are calling someone as biased. So whether here in this investment management horizon, the standard is set.
No, there is nothing question.
If then my question is, some sort of joking question coming in my mind, that if standard is not there, how you can identify that he is deviated from standard? So suppose in case of costing, standard cost is this,
cost.
There is a deviation, so either there is adverse variance or favorable variance. But here, if the standard mindset is not defined, how you can call that this man is biased?
No, we are not saying here biased with regard to any benchmark. Here it is with regard to your decision. That means, say for example,
so it is, suppose you are biased to recent happenings. Okay, that you have, the example that you have cited. So it may be your trait.
Yeah. So I should, my mind is biased towards
whether your trait is right or wrong, that is something relative.
Again,
this is your uniqueness.
This might be good in some situation, or it may not be good. So I should be made aware of the fact that I am prone to committing this bias.
Okay.
So that I become aware when taking a decision, am I taking it because of that bias of mine? If it is good, okay, I will go ahead with that recent decision.
Okay.
Recent happening. If I feel that it is not that good, I may skip that.
Sometimes people what may do, suppose he has gone for his own analysis, found that X company is good for investment right now. But he is having his peers. He has asked or discussed with his peers. Peers told him, no, X company acha nahi hai. That particular information or comment has superseded my own decision, and I have forgone for, or I have cancelled my decision. So this is also a trait.
This is also.
So will you call it as bias? This?
It can be. There are different. That's the reverse of that. What you said, just the reverse of that. Some people, even after getting informed decisions or informed knowledge from known people, don't go for it. They are very confident.
Yeah.
This kind of a trait, as you are saying, is called overconfidence bias.
Okay.
And the one which you gave is an example of availability bias. Some people are there who get influenced by all the available information.
Okay.
So there are different kind of thought processes. We don't know how our brain works.
Yes.
So basically our brain works by committing different biases, and that is what this course identifies. The research has, and we, the commerce people or the finance people, have not identified these. These have been identified by the psychologists. And the fathers of behavioral finance, Kahneman and Tversky, they are applied psychiatrists. Okay. They are applied psychologists. The first theory, which is considered to be the rock bottom theory of behavioral finance, the prospect theory, is basically propounded by psychologists and not any finance expert. Okay. So that is where behavioral finance comes. It is application of psychological theories, emotional theories in financial decision making. Okay. So we have behavioral finance is basically a subset of the broader set, which is behavioral economics. Okay. So within behavioral economics, when you are thinking only about financial decisions, that is called behavioral finance. That small part of behavioral economics is called behavioral finance.
And this prospect theory, I think, is the basic.
It's
a basic building block of the entire.
It is one of the basic building blocks.
Okay.
But whenever we start any course of behavioral
Give
finance,
a small hint what the prospect theory is, or how it is different from the traditional theories.
It's from trading. This has got nothing to do with finance.
Okay.
This basically identifies that your brain functions differently when you have a gain prospect, and it functions differently when you have a loss prospect.
Okay.
When you are having a gain prospect, any normal human being will behave in a risk averse fashion. Okay. Whereas when you are in a risky situation, a loss making situation, your brain will force you to become a risk taker. Say for example, the popular show KBC, Kaun Banega Crorepati, hosted by Amitabh Bachchan. So over there you will find, when you are in a gain position, say for example, somebody is at a 50 lakh point, where if he or she commits and gives the wrong answer, that will come down to 3,20,000 or something like that. If somebody is not close to or almost 100% sure, he or she always says, I quit.
Yeah.
Why? Are they taking the risk?
Very good.
No. Yeah. Because over there, he is in a big loss position. From 1 crore, it can come down to, or rather from 50 lakh, which is assured, he can come down to 3,20,000. So he can't, a middle income person in India cannot take the risk of losing close to conservative. You are becoming risk averse.
Yes.
Okay? But in many situations, when your situation, back is against the wall, okay, you are prone to take risk.
Right.
Now, just to conclude, I would like to say with respect to this part, behavioral finance very nicely explains you as a person is a risk taker when you are gambling.
Yes.
Say buying a lottery ticket or playing for those online games nowadays of creating sports teams.
Correct.
You are in a gambler mode. But the same person in the morning has paid a check to your insurance agent, where you are playing safe. So why do you play like this?
Yes.
Why are you like this? You are the same person. At one point of time, in a gambler shoe, you are a risk lover. Whereas when in the morning your insurance agent came, you are a risk averse person. So why is this happening? Behavioral finance offers explanations to this. This helps us in better understanding that whether we should take the decision or not.
I think this example that is coming up to the discussion is really some value-adding thought process for the students and the researcher as well. So, can you just tell in a nutshell what is the basic items or contents of the course that
Of a behavioral finance
yeah,
course.
yeah.
So basically the course which I offer at my university or the certificate courses which I plan to offer, it starts with, the first unit starts with the traditional theories of standard finance.
Okay.
So by standard finance, again I would like to say, after behavioral finance have emerged, the theories which were there beforehand, the finance theories, are now called rational theories or standard theories or traditional theories.
Okay.
So I basically start by giving a glimpse of the standard finance theories and primarily identifying where the loopholes lie.
Okay.
And once a participant understands that, okay, standard finance can't answer these situations, that is where I begin with the behavioral finance, what it is, what are its assumptions on which it stands, what are its basic cornerstones, and then we proceed towards understanding how behavior affects decision making. For that, we understand the concept of, as you said, biases. Interesting concept is there called heuristics, disposition effect.
Can you just take 2 minutes of time to explain this particular word, heuristic?
Heuristics, yeah. Heuristics is, it seems to be a very heavy word, but in simple words, this is nothing but mental shortcuts. Many times, by taking decisions, you allow your brain to run in autopilot mode. Okay. Say for example, you always take shortcut decisions. Again, I am taking an example. Say in India, the Tata Group, which has operated in different fields, starting from the salt to the airlines, it has invested everywhere. It has got its own brand value. So whenever you come across a new company floated by Tata, and if it comes out with the IPO, you might be inclined to invest in it without even going for the fundamentals.
Yeah.
You are taking a shortcut.
Yeah.
You are not allowing your brain to do the analysis which it is capable of doing, even though information is available. This is an application of heuristics.
Okay.
So
Great.
many times in regular life we do that. Say for example, when you are traveling from your home to office, the path is known. You hardly think whether I should take this shortcut or that shortcut, which you did for the first 2 or 3 times perhaps.
Yes.
Okay? So that autopilot mode where you are going, your brain is going. When we do this, we say, the psychiatrists say that you are using heuristics.
Okay.
Now, is it good or bad? It
That
is
is relative, I
good.
think.
It is relative. So again, we make aware the participants that, okay, you be aware of the fact that you are prone to heuristics. In which situation you should do that, and in which situation you should not do that. That is basically what we activate in the mind of the participants. Okay. And then we proceed, as you said, that what is covered, then we proceed towards application of these concepts of behavioral finance in corporate finance.
Okay.
Say for example in merger and acquisition, that is also an investment. Say for example in capital budgeting decisions, that is also an investment. Again, say entrepreneurship, the venture capitalists, the angel investors, when they are investing, they are also taking investment decisions.
Yes.
So they are also prone to these heuristics and biases and disposition effect and all these things.
Okay.
So we give a glimpse of that how behavioral finance basically is applicable in these areas, and as decision makers, as corporate managers, as investment banking managers, investment bankers, or at whatever level you are, you should be aware of these things before taking the final call.
Okay, then what we get that the scope of behavioral finance is both the way. One is for individual finance,
Exactly.
another for corporate finance.
Exactly.
So that maybe you can call as a macro form.
Exactly.
And so when, what I mean to say, suppose one investment advisor, okay, when he is guiding or advising the clients regarding the investment avenue or something, then whether if he will be equipped with this knowledge of behavioral finance, how he can contribute better to his clients.
2 things.
Okay.
At his personal level. Even there are, I would like to add that in my courses, there are students who are not students of finance. They have done, say, they are into logistics specialization or human resource specialization.
Okay.
When they are in making investments for their own purposes, those students voluntarily attend this course.
Okay.
Reason that when they are making their investments at their personal level, they are passive investors, not very active, so that they are not prone to these things. They want to become aware of the fact that क्या गलती मुझसे हो सकता है,
Okay.
without knowing, and my subconscious mind will do that.
Okay.
That is number one. Number two, the finance students whose main objective is to get jobs or to become professional advisors, we need this knowledge for two levels. Number one, you yourself as an advisor must be prone to some biases.
Yes.
You commit some heuristics so that while giving that advice, you do not commit that on behalf of your client.
Okay.
And say, for example, I am your client, and while we are on the discussion table, I am saying that I want to make this sort of investment. So that you can explain me, sir, you are prone to these things. So for that knowledge, for explaining to your client, you need to have a good grip. And again, when you are suggesting something to ensure that you don't commit a bias, you should have a good grip over this course. This behavioral finance, if it is known once this, it's never ending. Once you get an interest in it, you can identify this in every field almost. In regular life decision, you can identify the different behaviors which people around you are making.
So to understand or to deal with this particular course, I think what I'm getting from your discussion that people should have the basic building block knowledge of SAPM paper.
SAPM and basic corporate finance.
Okay.
Just basic. And to add you, SAPM and corporate finance, these for the students I would say, we give small numerical caselets over there.
Right.
To check the numerical models or the formula which have been developed in the past. But in behavioral finance, nothing like that is there. So
there is no numericals.
There is no numericals. Students ask me, sir, finance hai to usme to kuch numerical hoga na? No, it's totally logical. And for some students who think that we need to, then it's so-called quote-unquote a theory questions wherein we need to write pages after pages. It's exactly not that.
There is also
it's very
a perception that if numericals are not there, good marks will not come out.
No, it is very, very case study based, small cases based.
Okay.
You identify if this is a story, what biases they have committed, how they can overcome it.
Okay.
So these kind of small cases are set to evaluate the students or the participants. So that they can understand how they can, I want to check whether they can apply what they have learned or not. Yes. Because in the practical world, that is what is needed. Okay. And even for entrepreneurs, those coming from big business family background, young kids who want to become future entrepreneurs, while investing, making future investments in their business, if they have a better understanding of their brain, because of this, that leads to better decision making for them in the future.
Okay. So by going to this paper or the course or knowledge, whatever you call it, and whether people will be able to identify the biases within himself or with his
Yes, he can. If somebody invests a lot of time within himself, he can.
Whether a list of biases have already been identified.
Yeah, there are more than 150 biases identified by the researchers.
Okay.
But all are not applicable in finance scenario, say for example.
Okay.
So
in our names few of the biases which is most commonly.
Yeah, as I said, broadly the biases are classified into two categories.
Okay.
One is called the cognitive biases. That is, which is restricted to our thinking capacity.
Okay.
Bichakkhonata.
Okay. Achha.
And the other one is information processing bias. These are the two forms of cognitive biases. And we have emotional biases. Okay. There are sometimes social biases.
Okay.
So we make people aware of these, the cognitive biases, the emotional biases, and the social biases.
Okay.
We make them aware so that you see if you are participating in a decision or if you are a part of a decision, you try to identify whether the decision making team or you as a decision maker or somebody else close to you as a decision maker is committing these biases or not, so that you can raise the right question to help him or her or yourself in taking the proper informed decision.
Okay.
And this basically, this behavior,
so it's an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing and it has led to other specialized areas of finance. A part of behavioral finance is called emotional finance.
Okay.
There is another part of it which is called neurofinance.
Okay.
Which is totally dealing with how the brain functions. So this is a multidisciplinary thing in that sense.
Then I think there is lots of scope of research also.
Yeah, definitely. Because till now, whatever research has taken place, as you know, that they are all in the advanced economies.
Yes.
Like the US markets, the Western European market. So very few researchers, whatever we are discussing is primarily what has taken place in the Western European market or in the US market. But Indian sentiment, and I say within India, we have 5 broad parts of India: North, South, East, West, Central, and even Northeast. which is a very prevalent part of India. So all the culture, the society, the thought process are very different of each part. So definitely it is to be researched that how a Marathi or a Gujarati or a Rajasthani society's investment behavior different from that of a Bengali or a Odia or a Bihari or a Jharkhandi or somebody from the northeast or somebody from the south. They will be very interested in such areas to identify what kind of behaviors we find, and accordingly the finance houses can frame their products. Say the insurance products, the investment products, the mutual funds, the NBFCs, they can come out with products after understanding their consumers.
Right.
So in applied research also there is enough scope.
So I think this paper has come up in a full-fledged form. The content of this paper is well defined right now in the mindset of the academicians. Now it is the task for the students to study it, and before that it is the task for the teachers to understand the paper and to offer the course.
Exactly.
So more the teachers will be inclined to offer this particular course, more this course will be reaching to the students.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the challenge with the current generation of teachers is, for us, when we graduated or we completed our post-graduation, this course was not very popular in India.
Yes.
This is of a
We have
later
heard this term.
Exactly. In our master's level, we have hardly heard this term. So what has happened is, even though it is there in many of the universities, it is not offered. Some of the universities which are forward-looking have incorporated this in their curriculum, in finance specialization curriculum, but it is not offered by many of the teachers, as we were discussing. Right? So that is the scope.
I think for popularization of this particular course, first good quality teachers should be involved, and then they should cater the thing to the students. Okay, then with this objective, let me share that our Swami Vivekananda University has already planned one full 1 week faculty development program on behavioral finance issue only, and for that we have already received consent from Dr. Mukherjee to be the main resource person along with some other eminent academicians and practitioners in the field of behavioral finance. Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee, for your time and for discussion, and we look forward for more discussion, more sitting with you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I too love this discussion with you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.